You checked your account balance 3 days ago and the number looked fine. Now you check again, and somehow several $100s have vanished. You have not made any big purchases. You have not done anything irresponsible. You paid your bills, bought groceries, maybe grabbed lunch a few times, and yet the money is gone. You scroll through your transactions trying to figure out where it went. $47 here, $23 there, $18 on something you have already forgotten. 12, 14, 31, each transaction meaningless on its own. Together, they have drained your account before the month is halfway done. This is the spending pattern that destroys more financial progress than any single bad decision ever could. Not the big purchases, those are obvious, easy to evaluate, hard to ignore. It is the small, forgettable spending that compounds invisibly until you find yourself wondering why you can never seem to get ahead. Here is what nobody tells you. You are not being reckless. You are just bleeding money through 1,000 tiny cuts you barely notice making. The solution is not willpower. If willpower worked, you would have fixed this already. What actually works is habits. Small automatic behaviors that change your default pattern so the bleeding stops. My name is Ivan, and I spend way too much time thinking about money, financial psychology, and the quiet architecture that decides whether someone builds wealth or stays stuck for decades. If you want to actually understand why your account keeps surprising you, hit subscribe and give this video a thumbs up if it helps you see your own spending differently. I am going to walk you through 16 small habits that target the invisible leaks in your financial life. None of them require sustained discipline. All of them work in the background once they are set up. Let me walk you through all 16. Number 1. Pay yourself first on payday before any other transaction. This is the habit that quietly separates people who build wealth from people who just earn income. Most people get paid, then pay their bills, then spend on whatever feels reasonable, and finally save whatever happens to be left over. The problem with this order is that there is almost never anything left over. Spending expands to fill whatever money is available. Reverse the order. The moment your paycheck hits your account, an automatic transfer moves a fixed percentage into savings or investments before you ever see it as available money. 20% is the standard target. If 20% feels impossible right now, start at 5. The percentage matters less than the order. What matters is that saving happens first, automatically, without requiring a decision. Rich Richard set up automatic transfers 8 years ago. The day his paycheck lands, 15% moves to his brokerage account, 10% moves to his high-yield savings, and 3% moves to a separate account he uses for annual expenses. By the time he opens his banking app on a Friday evening, the only number visible is what he has actually decided to make available for spending. He has never once felt the pain of saving, because the money was never psychologically his to spend in the first place. Poor Peter has the best intentions. Every month he tells himself he will save what is left at the end of the month. Every month, somehow, nothing is left. The money sat in his checking account for 30 days, looking spendable and somehow not spent. The only difference between Richard and Peter is the order in which money moves. That order, repeated every month for years, becomes the difference between retiring early and never retiring at all. Number 2. Shop your own house before you buy anything new. Before any non-grocery purchase, walk through your home and check whether you already own a working version of the thing you are about to buy. This sounds absurdly simple. It is also one of the most overlooked habits in modern consumer life because the average household contains so much stuff that people genuinely forget what they own. The average American home contains over 300,000 items. Most people own multiples of basic things they have forgotten about. 3 pairs of black pants you do not remember buying. A cordless drill in the garage that you replaced because you assumed the first one was lost. 6 unused notebooks in a drawer. These purchases were not all impulse buys. Many of them were genuine attempts to solve a real need. They just happened after the original solution was buried under newer purchases. Before clicking buy or driving to the store, do a 5-minute walkthrough. Open the closet, check the cabinet, look in the garage. The number of times you will discover you already own what you are about to purchase is genuinely surprising. And every one of those moments is money you would have spent on a duplicate sitting 2 rooms away. Number 3, unsubscribe from every marketing email and promotional list you are currently on. This sounds trivial. It is not. Every marketing email is an engineered trigger designed to create desire you did not have before opening it. Limited time offers create urgency. Flash sales create scarcity. New arrivals create novelty. These are not neutral information. They are psychological weapons deployed against your wallet, and they arrive in your inbox every single day. the average person receives over 100 promotional emails weekly. Each one is a small nudge towards spending money you were not planning to spend on things you were not even thinking about until the email arrived. The cumulative effect across a year is staggering. Companies spend billions of dollars optimizing these emails to extract behavior from you. You are not in a fair fight. Spend 30 minutes unsubscribing from every promotional list. Use the unsubscribe link at the bottom of each email. For stubborn senders that ignore the unsubscribe, mark them as spam. Once you are off these lists, something interesting happens. You stop seeing deals. You stop being reminded that products exist that you could be buying. The constant stimulation of manufactured desire simply disappears, and a surprising amount of the spending it generated disappears with it. Rich Richard unsubscribed from everything 4 years ago. His estimate is that the change saved him around $2,000 in the first year alone, on items he never knew he wanted because he never saw them advertised. Poor Peter still gets the daily emails. He tells himself he can ignore them. He cannot, and neither can you, because nobody is actually immune to manufactured desire repeated 100 times a week. Number 4. Use cash envelopes for your biggest discretionary spending categories. This might sound old-fashioned in 2026, but there is real psychological research behind it. Paying with cash activates discomfort in the brain in ways that card payments do not. Physically handing over money feels like losing something. Tapping a card or clicking a button does not trigger the same response. People consistently spend 15 to 20% more when paying with cards than when paying with cash. That is not a small effect. Identify your 2 or 3 biggest discretionary spending categories. For most people, these are dining out, entertainment, and personal shopping. Withdraw a fixed cash amount for each category at the start of the week. Put each amount in a separate envelope. When the cash in an envelope is gone, spending in that category stops until the next week. The visibility is the secret. When you can physically see exactly how much money is left in your dining envelope on a Wednesday, your behavior adjusts naturally. You decide to cook at home for a few nights. You skip the second drink. You feel the constraint without anyone forcing it on you. When the same information is buried in a banking app you barely check, no adjustment happens, and the money quietly disappears. Number 5. Run the would I pay double test before any non-essential purchase. This question sounds deceptively simple, and it kills more impulse purchases than almost anything else. Before buying anything that is not strictly necessary, ask yourself one thing. If this item costs twice what it currently costs, would I still buy it? If the answer is yes, the item genuinely matters to you. The price is not the reason you want it. You want it because it solves a real problem or brings real value to your life, and you would pay for that value at almost any reasonable price. Buy it without guilt. If the answer is no, you are not actually buying the item. You are buying the deal. You are buying the feeling of getting something for less than it could have cost. And that feeling is not the same as wanting the item. It is a separate psychological reward manufactured by the price tag itself. Most discretionary purchases fail the would I pay double test. People buy things because they are on sale, because they are cheap, because they feel like a steal. Strip away the discount and the desire often evaporates. That evaporation is information. It tells you the purchase was never about the item. It was about the discount. And discounts that feel like savings are still spending. Number 6. Check your bank balance every single morning. This is not about obsessing over money or creating anxiety. It is about maintaining awareness. Most people check their accounts sporadically when they think they should, when something feels off, or when they are about to make a purchase they are unsure they can afford. That means spending most of the month without clear knowledge of where they actually stand financially. A daily balance check takes 30 seconds. Open your banking app first thing in the morning, before email, before social media, before anything else. Look at the number. Note whether it is higher or lower than yesterday. Note whether anything unexpected hit overnight. That is it. Close the app and start your day. This habit creates ambient awareness that influences behavior throughout the day. When you know exactly where you stand financially, every spending decision becomes slightly more conscious. The $40 lunch decision happens differently when you watched your balance drop $70 yesterday. The morning check makes your financial reality harder to avoid or forget. It also catches fraud and unexpected charges almost immediately, while most people do not notice them for weeks. Number 7. Never enter a grocery store hungry. This sounds like dietary advice. It is actually some of the most underrated financial advice in personal finance because hunger short circuits spending discipline in ways that almost nothing else does. Studies have repeatedly shown that grocery shoppers who arrive at the store hungry spend significantly more than shoppers who arrive fed, sometimes 30 to 60% more. They buy more impulse items. They buy more processed food. They buy more of everything because their brain is in a state of acquisition. Eat something before you leave the house. A real meal, not just coffee. Then go to the store. The change in spending is noticeable from the very first trip. Items that screamed at you on a hungry stomach suddenly look like what they are: processed convenience food at a markup. The bag of chips at the checkout that always ended up in your cart no longer registers as appealing. This single habit can save the average household several $100s a year on food that often gets thrown away unopened anyway. Number 8. Make a specific list before any shopping trip and buy only what is on the list. Stores are designed to make you buy things you did not plan to buy. Layout, placement, signage, sampling, every element is optimized to generate unplanned purchases. Walking into a store without a list means walking into an environment engineered to extract more money from you than you intended to spend. Before any shopping trip, write down exactly what you need. Be specific, not groceries, but milk, bread, eggs, chicken, broccoli. Review the list once for anything you might have forgotten. Then commit. You will buy only what is on this list. The person who walks into a big box store for laundry detergent and walks out with detergent, plus candles, plus throw pillows, plus organizational bins, plus 6 items from the dollar section is the rule, not the exception. The list creates a clear boundary between planned and unplanned spending. If you see something you want that is not on the list, write it down for next time. Often you will forget about it before the next trip, which tells you everything you need to know about whether you actually wanted it. Number 9. Translate every purchase into hours of retirement delayed. This is a habit that quietly kills lifestyle inflation. Stop thinking of money as money. Start thinking of money as time. Every dollar you spend today is a dollar that cannot grow for the next 30 or 40 years. And money invested over that time frame roughly doubles every 7 to 10 years. Here is the math, stripped of all complexity. A dollar invested at age 35 becomes around $8 by age 65, assuming a reasonable rate of return after inflation. So the $400 purchase you are considering today is not really $400. It is over $3,000 in retirement money. The $40 dinner is over $300 in retirement money. The $150 pair of shoes is over $1,000 in retirement money. Run that translation in your head before any non-essential purchase. Some purchases will still feel worth it. A $100 dinner with someone you love might genuinely be worth $800 in future retirement money. That is a fair trade if you make it consciously. The issue is not that people make these trades. The issue is that they make them unconsciously, hundreds of times a year, never realizing they are funding their present at the direct expense of their future self. Once you see the math, the unconscious trades become conscious and most of them stop happening. Number 10. Never shop when you are in a strong emotional state. Whether positive or negative, strong emotions dramatically affect spending behavior. Sadness, stress, anxiety, and boredom all increase spending as people seek comfort or distraction through purchases. Positive emotions can be equally dangerous. Celebration, excitement, and feeling good about yourself all reduce inhibition and increase willingness to spend. The pattern is consistent. Strong emotions of any kind compromise financial decision-making. Retail therapy is not therapy. It is a temporary distraction that creates financial problems which generate their own negative emotions, creating a cycle that spirals. Before making any non-essential purchase, check your emotional state. Are you feeling something strong right now, in either direction? If yes, delay the purchase. Spending often has nothing to do with the item being purchased. It is about managing feelings. Recognizing when you are reaching for a purchase to manage emotions lets you find better ways to address those feelings. A walk works, a phone call works, a nap works. None of them cost anything, and all of them address the actual underlying problem, which the purchase never could. Number 11, set up separate accounts for separate purposes. When all your money sits in one account, every dollar feels available for any purpose. The money mentally earmarked for rent is physically indistinguishable from money mentally earmarked for entertainment. This makes it disturbingly easy to accidentally spend money designated for one thing on something else entirely. Create separate accounts for separate functions. At minimum, one account for fixed expenses like rent and bills, one account for everyday spending, and one account for savings. Some people benefit from additional separation. A separate account for an emergency fund, a separate account for annual expenses like car insurance, a separate account for travel. The psychological effect is significant. When your spending account contains $300 and your bills account contains $1,500, you know exactly what is available for discretionary use. You are not subtracting upcoming bills mentally. The separation is built into the structure. Set up automatic transfers so the right amounts move to the right accounts on payday. What remains in your spending account is genuinely available to spend without guilt or anxiety. This structure prevents accidentally spending bill money on non-bills, which is a common reason people feel blindsided by account balances that seemed fine just days earlier. Number 12, run the 30-day category freeze for any spending leak you cannot quite identify. Once or twice a year, pick one category of discretionary spending and freeze it completely for 30 days. No coffee out for 30 days, no clothing purchases for 30 days, no food delivery for 30 days. Whatever category you suspect is leaking the most money, shut it off entirely for 1 month. Two things happen during a category freeze. First, you find out exactly how much that category was costing you. Most people are shocked when they see the dollar figure. The category they thought was costing them maybe $100 a month was actually costing them $300 a month, and they had no idea because the spending was distributed across dozens of small transactions. Second, you find out whether you actually wanted those purchases or whether they were habit. After 30 days of no coffee out, you discover that you can in fact make coffee at home and enjoy it just as much. After 30 days of no food delivery, you discover that you can cook a meal in 15 minutes and feel better afterward. The freeze breaks the autopilot, and once the autopilot is broken, you get to consciously decide whether to restart the spending or leave it canceled forever. Most people leave most freezes canceled. They discover that what felt essential was actually just default. Number 13, add deliberate friction to your easiest spending paths. Earlier, I mentioned removing things like marketing emails. This habit goes further. Identify the specific places where your money flows out fastest and then deliberately make those paths harder. Maybe it is food delivery apps. Maybe it is a specific online store you always overspend in. Maybe it is the convenience store next to your office. For each of these, add layers of friction. Remove saved payment methods so you have to enter card information manually each time. Log out of accounts so you have to log back into purchase. Use website blockers during your highest spending hours. Move your debit card to a less accessible part of your wallet. Each layer of friction is another moment for reconsideration. Having to find your card, type in the number, enter the expiration date, input the security code. Each step is another chance to ask whether you actually want this. Most impulse purchases will not survive 4 or 5 friction points. The reverse is also valuable. Remove friction from the behaviors you want. Make saving automatic, make bill payment automatic, make investing happen on a schedule you do not have to think about. Friction should favor the behaviors you want and disfavor the behaviors you do not. Modern commerce has spent billions of dollars eliminating friction between desire and purchase. You are not fighting your own willpower. You are fighting an industry. Adding friction back is how you level the playing field. Number 14, review every receipt before leaving the store or closing the tab. This habit takes 10 seconds and quietly saves more money than people realize. Before you walk away from the cashier, before you close the browser tab, before you finalize the order, review the actual receipt. Look at every line item. Confirm that the prices match what you expected and that no extra items snuck in. Stores make billing errors more often than people realize. Sale prices that did not ring up. Coupons that did not apply. Items scanned twice. Subscription fees that quietly increased. Online retailers add suggested upgrades to your cart that you did not consciously approve. None of these errors are dramatic on their own. Together, they add up to real money over a year. The receipt review also catches your own mistakes. The duplicate purchase you made because you did not realize the first one was already in your cart. The accidental subscription renewal you meant to cancel last month. Catching these in the moment is enormously easier than catching them later when the charge has already cleared and the return window has closed. Number 15, compare unit prices, not sticker prices. This is one of the simplest habits and one of the most ignored. Whenever you are buying anything that comes in different sizes or quantities, look at the price per ounce, per pound, per gram, per unit instead of the sticker price. The bigger box is not always the better deal. The brand name is not always the worst deal. The store brand is not always the cheapest. Without checking the unit price, you are guessing. Most grocery stores and many other retailers display the unit price right on the shelf tag. In tiny print, most people never read. Once you start reading it, you discover that the way products are sized and priced is specifically designed to confuse the comparison. The 8-ounce package and the 12-ounce package and the family size package are not arranged, so the cheapest one is obvious. They are arranged so the most profitable one looks the most attractive. Your job is to translate everything back into a common unit and decide for yourself. This habit applies far beyond groceries. Cleaning supplies, personal care items, beverages. The savings on any single item are small, but the cumulative effect across hundreds of purchases per year is significant, and the habit costs nothing. It just requires you to glance at one extra number on the shelf tag before you reach for the item. Number 16. Make your financial progress visible on something you see daily. Spending provides immediate visible gratification. New item, new experience, new possession. Saving and not spending provide nothing visible in the moment. This asymmetry is why spending feels rewarding and restraint feels like deprivation. The gap is structural, and it is also fixable. Make your financial progress visible. Create a tracker for your goals that you actually look at. A savings thermometer on your refrigerator that fills up as you progress toward a target. A spreadsheet with a chart you check weekly that shows your net worth climbing. An app on your phone, home screen that displays your investment balance. Whatever format works for your life, the requirement is that you see it regularly. Every time you resist an unnecessary purchase, mentally transfer that money to your goal and update the tracker. The $47 you did not spend on impulse becomes $47 added to your down payment fund. Visible on the chart. This creates a different kind of gratification. Instead of the momentary hit of buying something, you get the sustained satisfaction of watching progress accumulate over months and years. The visual tracker transforms invisible non-spending into visible achievement. Every resisted impulse becomes a measurable step towards something you actually want, which is the only sustainable way to make restraint feel like winning instead of losing. Rich Richard has a simple chart on his fridge. It tracks his net worth quarter by quarter. He sees it every morning when he gets coffee. The line going up is his daily reminder that the boring choices are working. Poor Peter has no tracker, no visible progress, no daily reminder of where he is heading. He just has the immediate hit of each new purchase, followed by the slow erosion of each month, followed by the surprise every time his account balance is lower than he thought. Those are the 16 habits. The thing they share in common is that none of them require sustained willpower. Willpower is finite and unreliable. Asking yourself to resist temptation through sheer force of will, hundreds of times a month, every month, forever, is not a strategy. It is a guaranteed path to failure. What works instead is changing the environment. The defaults, the systems. Make spending harder and saving easier. Remove the triggers that generate artificial desire. Add friction where money flows too easily, and remove friction from the behaviors you want to repeat. Make your progress visible so restraint feels like winning instead of deprivation. These changes operate automatically once they are in place. You do not have to remember to resist the marketing email if you never receive it. You do not have to fight against a shopping app if the app is no longer on your phone. You do not have to remember to save if the transfer is automatic on payday. The money that seems to vanish from your account is not vanishing through one bad decision. It is leaving through dozens of small, forgettable, frictionless transactions. These habits target exactly those transactions, not by forbidding them, but by changing the conditions that generate them. You do not need more discipline. You need better systems. Pick 3 habits from this video that target your biggest leaks. Not all 16. That is overwhelming. Just 3. Master those over the next month, then add 3 more. The money you are losing is not lost to dramatic decisions or major purchases. It is lost to the small, the forgettable, the unconscious. Fix those, and the bleeding stops.